I was actually wrong about my prediction about Detroit before the season started. I made a video and I mentioned in the video that I thought that Detroit was, well, I didn't think that they were going to make the playoffs. I thought that they were going to be better than this. But yeah, no, I've recently looked at the standings and the Detroit Red Wings are like, they're tied points wise with the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, that's wild stuff. No offense to Buffalo, but I thought they would be a little bit ahead of that. Now, we have tons of trade rumors around the Buffalo Sabres right now. I think that they are going to make a big move by the trade deadline. It seems like the type of season to me where teams are giving up on being forever rebuilding teams. And they should. Okay, you can't tank out every single year, right? There needs to be a point of view of just, hey, you got to just make a move. So these are two teams that on Saturday headlines, Elliot Friedman did allude to the fact that Buffalo and Detroit are clearly talking. Now, there is a deal to be made here clearly around Dylan Cozens. Now, I don't know if Detroit wants to get rid of him, but I remember Elliot Friedman recently saying that they were getting a lot of calls specifically on him, and this is obviously a vultures circling around the carcass type thing. But now, I mean, they're both bad teams, so, I guess that's one way to put it, but still. This isn't impossible that they could do this. According to Puckpedia, they have $5.2 million. Now it's just a base level look at the cap at Puckpedia. I'm not like a capologist or anything like that. It could be a lot more complex than that. But I am completely okay with these teams making big moves. I would love to see the Red Wings go after another forward. Honestly, they could use another defenseman too, though. I mean, if you look at their season, they've only scored like 90 goals or something like that. I mean, they have about 94 goals in 36 games. That's 2.41 goals per game, I believe. No, my apologies, it's 2.61. I mean, they are a pretty inept offensive team. To be an average scoring team in the NHL, you need to score about 3 goals per game, right? So, I mean, yes, they've struggled defensively, but they've struggled offensively too, right? Now, Vladimir Tarasenko is a player that I expected a little bit more out of. I understand that he is 33, but he just really hasn't been that great offensively for the Detroit Red Wings. But I really don't particularly look at them as a very deep team down the middle. So I do wonder if they would be looking at Cozens as an upgrade there. Perhaps a different change of scenery would help Cozens, right? I mean, Andrew Kopp and Larkin. I mean, Larkin's having an okay season. But you would probably need a little bit of an upgrade and to change things around there. Now, the real question is exactly what would Detroit have to give up? Obviously, the Buffalo Sabres aren't just going to give this guy away. They want something of value. Now, here's the thing. You could throw up some pretty heavy trades here, some blockbusters, right? Because when you have a team that is just simply not performing like this, throw out some blockbusters. You could throw out some trades. Hey, listen, you need one center, put out any name. Obviously Buffalo is going to want somebody that performs. They would probably want, Larkin's a little bit older, obviously older than Cozens, but they would maybe be looking, they need to replace the center that they're giving up. They can't just give up a center and get nobody in return. Now, obviously, the Detroit Red Wings do have all of their first-round picks. They have a lot of draft capital as well. I honestly think that this could be a very, very, very interesting trade between these two teams. I mean, make some changes. Make some changes. Why not? I mean, when you hit the status of a forever rebuilding team, you just got to make changes, in my opinion. I mean, and when we talk about Dylan Cozens, too, there's reasons why teams want him. Now, if you look at his stats, he only has about 19 points in this entire year, which certainly is a downgrade from, he had a 68-point season 2 years ago for the Sabres. But the past 2 seasons, he has literally scored on pace for about 40 to 50 points. Let's just say 45, something around there. I mean, again, if you're getting paid this much, that is unacceptable. So now, again, I always talk about this, how hard it is to judge players when they play for really terrible teams. It's so hard to even properly judge Dylan Cozens, right? I would only need to be able to gauge that by saying, okay, go to a good team and then we'll do a much better judgment on you. Like how exactly would he fit into a good team, right? Would he be able to fit on a second line or a third line? I mean, I would maybe look at him on a good Stanley Cup contending team as a little bit more of like a third line center. Now, I'm not saying he can't jump up and be a second line, or that he might not be able to score at a second line pace. It's just right now he's been on pace for about 40 points. So I'm looking at this from a Stanley Cup contending team and saying that's probably where he is on a good team, right? Now, also the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators have been linked to Cozens as well, because this is going to be a bit of a bidding war. So it might be smart to bow out if it gets too sometimes bidding wars can get out of hands in the NHL, and it's actually better for a team just to say, no way, I'm out. I mean, again, Buffalo from the Detroit Red Wings or any team is going to want a high draft pick, and they are also going to want a young player in return. I know I said Larkin. I'm just spouting out a name, something to put impact on the roster. They would probably want a younger player back, in my estimation. And when it comes to Cozens, he's getting paid a lot. I will say, when it comes to Cozens, this is a pretty. It's pretty risky, in my opinion, for a team to acquire him. I understand why teams want to acquire him, because he was once a very highly touted player, but this is a riskier one to me simply because he hasn't performed up to a $7 million contract. Can you imagine if this is just what he is for $7 million? That's a huge, huge risk. And again, the one final thing before I finish this video is this just shows how desperate teams are for centermen. Like, they are so unbelievably desperate for centermen. It's insane. So, whatever. Anyways, I am going to leave the video there. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate that, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye.